I'm Serena. This is my guest, Monica. She's one of my followers who has quickly become one of my friends on Instagram. And we were having an interesting conversation the other day. I forget what the post was. You commented about the broth.
Oh, I said something like, I know that people say onion is toxic, and I get yelled at for it sometimes, but I still make the bronchial broth for my dog because she has asthma, and it's really helped a lot.
Uh huh.
It stopped the asthmatic cycles that she kept having every day.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you're like, please don't yell at me, and I'm like, well, you took my reaction away by automatically saying, I know people yell at me all the time saying it's bad for dogs. So there was no reason for me to pile on, right?
Right.
So yeah, so that's what I've always heard. So it's not something that I'm saying that other people should do, or I would even do myself, even though that your dog seems to be doing okay with it. Now, a couple years ago, some well-known vets that I follow, Dr. Tobias and Dr. Karen Becker, they met with the world's oldest dog, Bobby. He lived in Portugal, and his owner said that Bobby has eaten fresh food all of his life, and in the food there was onion. So even both of those vets who've always said no to onions, they were shocked to learn that Bobby has eaten them. Now, how much of a quantity, I don't know. They just said that he ate them on a regular basis and it was in his food. So, I that's why I wanted to kind of talk to you about it a little bit more because I'm curious.
Okay. So it seems like the spicier and stronger I make it, the better the effect and the quicker her asthma will stop. And by the way, I don't give her any medications for asthma. I give her the broth, and I also give her
Okay.
amla powder. So those are the two things
Okay.
that really helped. And cat's claw has helped too. But for the onion, I'll put like half an onion. She's a little dog. She's like 9 pounds, 10 pounds. I'll put half an
Hmm.
onion, maybe like 4 celery sticks, and I don't know, like 5 radish, the roots, the
Hmm.
colored ones, the round ones, not the long ones. And
Right.
I simmer the water. I don't know how much water I use, but if I had to guess, I would say it's 4 or 5 cups, maybe a little more.
Hmm.
And I would give it to her daily until the asthma would stop. Last year, I started this last year, a year ago, spring, it's the spring, and it was much spicier when I first made it because I had never made it before, and it was like hot burning my mouth. That works still.
Yeah, I've only tried it once. You're pretty much following the bronchial broth recipe, right? But maybe
Yes.
tweaked a little bit, or
Yes, it says on
okay.
the recipe to use equal amounts of the round radish, equal amounts of onion and celery. And I don't know what that means exactly, but I just kind of, like the recipe I'm saying. But last year when I did it, I made it much stronger,
Uh-huh.
maybe double. I put the double amount maybe. And it worked better. Like it stopped, and I didn't have to give it to her more than I gave it to her once or twice, and the entire spring she was fine.
So what's the okay? So you said your dog is 9 pounds. You started this about a year and a half ago. Have you done it like every day consistently, or are you kind of on and off of it? And what's the like amount that you're giving? Do you know?
Okay, so last year, I gave it to her a tablespoon or maybe a teaspoon one day, and then a teaspoon the next day, and then it seemed like she didn't need it anymore, so I didn't do it anymore. Then when this spring started a few weeks ago, like a month ago, I've been giving her about a teaspoon a day, and I think it's because it's weaker than my last time of making it that I'm having to give it to her every day now for like
Oh, okay.
2, let's see, maybe it's been like 10 days. I've been giving it to her every day. I haven't been able to stop at this time because it's a weaker. I'm assuming it's because it's weaker and it's not spicy, like hot spicy.
Mhm.
And I also have given her raw onion. I'll give it to her and she loves it. She takes it and she crunches on it, crunch, 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 and she loves it.
Really?
Mhm.
Hmm.
No problems with it so far. It's been 2 years, 3 actually, I've been feeding her onions for like 3, 4 years maybe. Because I wanted to test it. People are like, "It's poisonous," and I'm like, "Uh, well, I don't think medical medium has said that, so it's not on his toxic list for pets, so I'm gonna try it anyway."
Yeah, when you mentioned that to me, like I have this, because I have been following him since the first book, and when it came to pets, anything in any of the books he's written, blogs, podcasts, and stuff like that, I made myself this cheat sheet note, and I was like, when you said that, like off the top of my head, and maybe it was just because I'm always thinking, that everybody says no. I was like, I don't know if that's right. So I quickly go to his website, and you're right, he didn't put it on there. So then my question was, did are they really not? And that's why it's not there, or did somebody forget? I mean, you never know because there's times I'm the one who's in control of my website, so I can write anything I want, or like yesterday, I was doing a bunch of edits because I originally had one picture of I had one picture of one dog food, and then I'm talking about another, and I'm like, that picture doesn't go with this description of dog food, so I had to go in there and switch it.
Mhm.
Um, so it just made me wonder, or there's times that I've deleted things, so it made me wonder, did he not put it in there because he knows something that we don't know, and he just hasn't shared it yet, or did somehow it get missed or deleted or something like that.
Right.
So that's really why I was interested in talking with you because, you know, it's not, you're one of the few people that I've ever talked to that have told me that they've fed onions to their pets, whether, like until just now when we're talking, I didn't know that you were actually taking a piece of onion going, here you go, sweetie, here's a little snack.
Mhm. My other dog doesn't like onion, but my little one does. Mhm.
Hmm. And do you use okay, so like, as we were talking about getting ready to do this live, like, when I was looking up Bobby's information, his the oldest dog that reached 31 years old that was eating them, they were always cooked. I read some information about saying it being soaked. So I had a curiosity that was not only dependent on certain dogs and their current health was, didn't matter whether it was raw or if it was cooked. So I really wish he would comment on that topic more often because or that I could actually talk to him because I have so many questions. I mean, I've been working with pets for the last 20 years of my life, whether it's, having my own pets, taking care of other people's pets, blogging and stuff like that. So I have information from both sides, and then the training that I've taken myself for different certifications. So, I feel like I could kind of cut through the weeds real fast and say, okay, here's what conventional medicine says. Here's what a holistic vet say. What do you and SOC say?
Mhm. Mhm.
Because I would just really like to know, what's what and what's
Mhm.
not what we think it is because of what he said. So,
Like he
um,
says, we know that he says grapes are toxic, and I don't understand why some people are using the micro C powder for their dog. It is on his blog that you can use micro C, and it has grape seeds as a one ingredient. And so I'm a little confused about that.
well, it's probably grape seed extract, so maybe somehow that's different than actually grapes itself. Because generally, people will say grapes, or some will say grapes and raisins. So it's because grapes are in the same family. Grape seed extract. I'm thinking, maybe that's what's different, but I've I remember a while ago, I reached out to Bimmergy about wanting to work with them, and they didn't like that I wanted to share information to pet owners about how to use their supplements. So they said no. I'm like, okay, fine. And so I just moved on to other things. But yet you see these other videos of people, giving propolis and stuff like that to their dogs. And
Right.
well, I'm happy to see more people doing the holistic things with their pets.
Mhm.
It bothers me so much that there's no disclaimer. Like at the top of this video, you said this is what you're doing. I said I didn't, I would never tell someone to do it, but I'm glad it's working out for you. And we're not encouraging anybody to do it. So when I see videos of people using the Vimergy, which is more concentrated, and they're not telling you that they dosed, like my first instinct is you're not dosing correctly because I'm a trained herbalist. And so energy is meant for us, not for pets. So yeah, you can, if you're using something that's safe for pets, you can, but you have to know how to dose correctly. You can, if you're
Mhm.
just guessing at it, you could be hurting your pet.
Mhm.
There's actually a formula. I forget the name of it off the top of my head. Like it has a name to it, like we'll call it Wilson's Law or something like that. That actually, if you use that to use something that's meant for humans, it
Mhm.
will tell you how to run the calculation. You run the calculation based on your dog's weight, and it will tell you how to appropriately
That's
dose your
right.
pet.
That's right. I remember you telling me that. Yeah, that really
Hmm.
works very well. And well, since I have a little bitty one that's 9, 10 pounds, I can give her like 5 drops of Vimergy and it works. I didn't look up
Hmm.
the I didn't look up the dose, but I mean she's small, so I gave her a small amount.
Yeah, like I said, I mean it's there if you want to use it.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
sure nobody wants to go scrolling through my Instagram to see the post that I made a long time ago about it, but that's why I put it on my website under the herbal remedies. I have it
It's
specifically right there, and then some people are more visual, like or have to be hands on, and so that's why I kind of
Mhm.
said, here's an example, so that way, if somebody wanted to try the formula themselves, they had an example to
Mhm.
show, okay, here's what the result is supposed to be. Just make sure that somebody didn't misunderstand what I wrote, and then they do it wrong. So
I used the formula you told me about. I also don't remember the name of it. I used that for wormwood, I think. When I thought maybe they have worms, maybe not. I don't know. So I just gave them wormwood. Uh, wait, black walnut, black
yeah,
walnut.
I'm trying. I have a page up in front of me that I made this little cheat sheet. I'm trying to look. That's the one that he doesn't recommend. Like normally those two are normally used when it comes to worms, but he has said somewhere, I didn't make a notation to where he said it, but that's one he doesn't like. But
The black
um
walnut.
no, the wormwood.
Okay, I was mistaken. I think it's the black walnut, the one that's black color.
Okay.
I didn't know that about
Yeah,
wormwood though.
I've heard of it. I've not personally had it in my hands to see what it looks like in person. So, but yeah, I created this whole like cheat sheet for myself about everything that herbs that are safe for dogs and fruits and vegetables that are, and then what are the caveats to it. Like I think we were talking earlier today off camera where I said that somebody in the community said that cherries were bad for dogs. No, they're not. I mean, first of all, if you're going to introduce anything to your pet that is new to them, to make sure that they don't have a reaction to it, you always want to start with something small. And I'll give you a human example of this. So, a friend of mine, he's a VP at a very well known company. I became his personal assistant, not at work, just in his personal life. And let's just say he was having some issues going to the bathroom.
Mhm.
So I suggested a supplement to him. And on the bottle, he didn't read it very clearly, but it said you can take up to X amount of pills.
Uh-oh.
Well, he skipped right to the up to amount and took it. And I happened to be like, say he did it in the morning or last night, and then I'm talking to him today, so less than 12 hours later. And I said, and he tells me about it, and I said, "You did what?" And he goes, "It says right on the bottle." I said, "No, it did not say." I said, "It said you can take like let's say it said you could take from 2 to 12." And he just automatically went from 0 to 12. And I said, "Oh my gosh, you are going to be in for it." He says, "Well, I feel fine." Then he comes back, he texts
He
me a
was
little while
fine?
later. Oh yeah, he had an issue. So anyway, my point of the story is, even if something, whether it's, a herbal remedy or some fruits and vegetables, whatever the case may be. You always want to start out with something small. Why? Because you want to see if your pet is going to have a reaction for it. I have a friend who's allergic to pineapple, which was strange to me. I'm like, it's fruit, but I just always like to proceed with caution because it's it's always easier to test something small to make sure your pet doesn't have a reaction and then build yourself up to where if you go too fast too quickly and then your pet has a reaction or
Right.
has an upset stomach or things like that, that's harder to you can't really undo that. Now you have to deal with the repercussions.
I have a pet example, like my little baby Bella, she's 9, 10 pounds. I gave her a really tiny, tiny amount of fresh celery juice. Maybe a
Mm.
teaspoon, maybe, I don't know, it was very little. And it triggered her asthma because, and I looked it up and read about what Anthony Williams said about celery juice, and he said it could cause spasms as a side effect. That's like
Well,
the
I can
one
tell you
side.
with my dog. So I started experimenting using his information with my own dog when the first book came out. He didn't say that I could do it. He didn't say couldn't do it. He just didn't comment either way. But just, I had been interested in health for so long, even before I found him, between my own personal health and then pet health. So something just told me, well, celery safe, so he can do it. So I think I just probably started off with very small amounts. Like I didn't like syringe it into his mouth. I just put it in the bowl to see whether he was interested in it or not. And he was all right. He got to the point where when he saw me in my kitchen doing the celery, whether so this was back before the first book, so we weren't doing the lemon water. So I was just immediately getting up in the morning and prepping my celery. If it wasn't already prepped, then my celery juice. So sometimes it was, 6 o'clock in the morning and he starts barking and he was like, bark, 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 as if to say, give me my juice and like
So
be
funny.
quiet, because I didn't want to wake up the neighbors.
My dog does not
But
like.
with him, yeah, but with him, I had to I worked him up slowly and then I quickly figured out where his max was. And I want to say, oh gosh, it's been so many years. Um, let's say if it was at a fourth of a cup, I couldn't take him to a half a cup. He happily drank it, but when he did, he would immediately spit up afterwards. So I let him go, back to his regular dose for, however long, whether it's 1 week, 2 weeks or whatever. And then I tried it again and I just couldn't do it with him. He would always spit up if once I
Sounds
hit a
like a
certain
big
point. And
dog.
I was like, and after he did it like 2 or 3 times, I'm like, okay, that's his threshold.
A big dog, I think, right? Big one. Mhm.
Yeah, he was a Labrador. He's a black lab that you see on all my like little images and stuff. Um, yeah, so he was like 75 pounds.
Oh, yeah, I have another story to
So
share with
on my
you.
Instagram, let's talk about some other fruits and vegetables. So that's
Okay.
part of the reason why I started posting some different types of fruits and vegetables on my
Mhm.
Instagram, because most people know things like bananas, apples are okay. Apples is another example of like a fruit that you shouldn't give. You can give, but you need to be careful. Just don't let them have the stem or the seeds. But that's why I started posting things like the radish or parsley and things like that, because I wanted people to like think outside of the box. I think when I posted oregano, that got the most likes and interactions, and I did it purposely. I didn't want to post just something that people use every day.
AW posted it and then you posted it. or the other way
If
around?
he did, I didn't know that he did. He posted
Mhm.
my post, or he coincidentally posted oregano
Yeah, it was
around the
coincidence
same
that
time I did.
both of you did it. I don't remember if it was you first or him, but it was funny because everyone started talking about oregano all at the same time, and I knew that it's because the posts. Like people can.
Yeah, so I had created a few days in advance a bunch of posts just to get things set up so that way I didn't, I didn't want to keep doing it every day of the day that I'm going to post it. So I had created some of that a few days in advance. So whatever I decided to pick that day is whatever I decided to pick. And that's the first thing I do in the morning. I don't look at anybody else's feed and I'm like, okay, I need to set up my post for what I'm doing today. And that's what I did. So if we did it at the same time, I had no idea.
So can we give them, is it, is the benefit equal with the other aromatic herbs to oregano?
Um, So let's see. Some of the other ones is going to be like what, like rosemary,
Rosemary, is it
thyme.
basil? Mm.
Hold on one second. Let me use my little nifty cheat sheet here. Okay, so yes, dogs can have it. It's considered a natural antibiotic. I don't know, like if what I would want you to check out, even though I'm saying yes, is because I don't have notes written down personally myself, is maybe, Google a few places or check with your veterinarian to see if there's like a general dosing guideline. I mean, they're always going to say most things that they say, they'll say start out small and then if they have a dosage set, for a particular size animal, they'll say you work up to this and then don't exceed it because there are certain things when it comes to dogs, whether it's a vitamin or something of that sort. Even though they'll have a dosing, sometimes they'll have a maximum. They're like definitely don't exceed this. So I don't know that it would so much be with rosemary, but it's just that it's strong. So I would say yes, but start with a very minimal amount and then and see how that goes.
I'm glad you mentioned rosemary because that's what I tried on my dogs. And I didn't understand
Mm-hmm.
why it didn't work for my big dog that has a chronic ear infections. It wasn't. I was putting in dried rosemary in her food, and it wasn't working. So I had to switch to doing aloe in her ears, like just putting aloe on like a towel, a clean towel, and rubbing it into, mixing it with water and then rubbing it onto the towel, and I just wipe her ears, and that's worked better. I don't know why.
Yeah, so I think depending, so ear infections or strep, from what we've learned from him. And I think if it's been something that's been a long-term issue, so chronic, as you say, like to clarify, whether it's 1 year, 3 years, how long has it been for your dog?
I'm too embarrassed to say.
Dill. And that was the reason why I did that because it helps with bacterial, yeast, and fungal.
Okay.
So
What was I gonna say? I don't remember. Oh, I do have another short story if you want to hear it about watermelon.
okay, go for it.
Okay, my dog. Okay, so we were trying to give one of my dogs a prescription medicine. She's a big dog, and we didn't know that she spit it out, the pill.
Uh-huh.
She spit the pill out on the floor, and then my little bitties came and ate it because there was potato around it. Then,
Oh no.
yeah, then my husband came and said, "Oh no, I think she took the medicine because she was like uncoordinated and her eyes were glazy." So I was like, okay, I think she has an overdose now. So what I did is I
Mm-hmm.
gave her 2 teaspoons of lemon ginger water. And then my husband is brilliant, and he thought about watermelon slushy. So he ran and went to the fridge, and we already had watermelon slushy in the fridge, and he gave it to her, and within a few minutes, she started acting like nothing even happened. Almost, almost.
Wow, that's great.
Mhm. Watermelon is
Yeah,
such a strong cleanser. It's so good.
mhm. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought on I don't know if I would have thought of that off the top of my head. I mean, sometimes
Me
different things
either.
come into my head first
Mhm.
about, what to do. Like, I would probably think like from an conventional point, induce vomiting, and then from a more holistic point of view, maybe something like burdock and dandelion and stuff like that. But you're right.
Something
Now
like
that you
what?
bring watermelon up, well, the
What did you say,
so my
Serena?
two
You said
was that
bird something? What did you say?
no burdock root,
Ah, uh-huh.
burdock root. Yeah. So I would probably naturally go with dandelion, milk thistle, burdock root, things like that. Just kind of like detox like their liver and stuff like that. Because prior to medical medium, there was a supplement that I used to take every once in a while, and I mentioned it to a friend, and they had a hangover, and I said, "Well, here, take this." I wasn't condoning necessarily that they get drunk all the time, but I was like, if you need to get rid of your hangover and go to work, and I was like, try this, and he did, and he was like, you're not gonna believe it. He was like, I wiped down my hangover so fast, and I'm like, you're welcome. Um, but no, there was another time that like I was like having watermelon like crazy. I was eating it, I was juicing it, I was just like watermelon, watermelon, like I was going nuts with it, and I tried to get my family member, I asked them if they wanted some. And they were like, okay, sure, yeah, I'll try. And then I hear her a little while later. She was like, honey, she was like, I feel so much better. My hangover isn't bothering me.
Wow. From the watermelon?
Hmm.
From eating it?
No, she drank some of the watermelon juice that I made. And so I guess it helped her recover from her watermelon. I mean, from her hangover.
Wow. I don't understand the burdock root. I use Nature's Answer, and I
Hmm.
gave like 2 or 3 drops to my big dog, and she, like, threw up or something.
So, like I said, start everything small just for a reason like that. So I remember the first time I had the HMDS, I could like feel like I didn't do the powders full strength, but I could like my head felt kind of fuzzy. And I was like, whoa, this is kind of freaky. I was like, well, I can't get in the car and drive right now, but it passed fairly quickly. So I think, that was the initial effect on me. And so, something like that could always happen with the dogs. Um, but the first time I had milk thistle, I quickly learned that I could only take that night, and I had to start out with 1 or 2 drops. Remember, you're sensitive, so you should probably understand this, but now I can take it and I'm fine. So it's actually one of the things that I carry with me. I carry a mixture of milk thistle and burdock root. I just keep it in a jar. I have a insulated bag that I constantly take with me so it's not left out in the heat. And if I get exposed to certain chemical or fragrance and it's bothering me because I can wear a mask and block it all I want, but if the smell gets on my clothes, well, now I'm trapped inside my car with this smell. So I'll quickly take some of that and I'm like, okay, I need to go home and change my clothes because otherwise the smell bothers me too much and I start feeling sick.
Can you think on the top of your head which milk thistle brand you use?
Remedy.
Oh, I didn't know they had that. Okay.
They do. Yeah. So I just had someone ask me yesterday on one of the posts that so the one where I did showing how to easily give herbal remedies to your pets. She asked me what was I suggesting, and I said that I was still suggesting the Hawaii Farm. And I know Maniza is too, and that's because you know for right now we don't know of anything better because most other ones have alcohol, so it's probably more likely that whichever oil that they claim they're using. We've talked about this privately. One of them says this and one of them says that. There's not something better. And he's even said, going back all the way to the first book, that he's suggested certain supplements that weren't his ideal supplement, but they were better than what was already out
Oh,
there.
right,
So I
right.
haven't changed any of the links on my website. I'm leaving it. I know he took them off, but I don't feel like, in regards to pets, that's not his top priority. So I'm leaving it on because I don't know of anything better.
Okay.
You said you rub aloe on your dog's ears, but do you let them ingest any of it?
Yes, my little one loves to eat it too. Uh-huh. The gel by itself, and I think it's so disgusting. I won't do that, but she does it.
Yeah, I had to learn to like it, I guess you could say.
Ugh.
I heard Manisa say that, like she said it and then she's had it written down somewhere, but like I guess if you soak it in some, clean water for a while, like she said, cut off the sides of it and then let it soak for a little while and then take it back out and then play it where, you get the skin off and it's just the gel and then soak it for a while and then I guess maybe it's not so bad. But
Oh. Hmm.
yeah, it's one of those things that I've had to learn to get used to. Um, that's why I probably don't do it as often, but I can tell you, like I've heard it's best by itself. And then if you can't stand to like put it in your mouth straight and then just chew it, then you can do something like, aloe water, or, mixing it with some water, blending it up. I done that. It doesn't bother me to do it that way. I've put in some pineapple juice and boy, that is delicious. I could drink that stuff all day
Yum.
long.
I put lemon in mine, or else I won't drink it.
Oh, okay. Let's see. So I'm just gonna quickly run through a list since it's basically just me talking to each other on here. There's no one really else on here. But for the purpose of this live, since we originally talked about, we started it off very specific about onions. I just want to talk about some other fruits and vegetables. So yeah, like I said, a lot of times when it comes to fruit, um, oh, or anything new, just start out with anything small. Basically, think of like a baby or a toddler. If you wouldn't give it to them, don't give it to your dog. So that's definitely going to mean like cut up small pieces. You're not going to give them like the tough skins, like from the avocados. You don't want to do the pit of avocado, of a avocado, cherry. Same thing with like apples, no seeds, and stuff like that. Um, so
Avocado is one of the toxic ones, isn't it?
well, he said that if Hass are okay, but
Yeah.
he didn't like the other types.
Mhm.
So
Well, knowing
when
me,
he mentioned that,
I would choose
he was
the
specific
wrong
which
ones.
type. Yeah, see, I'm not an avocado person, so they wouldn't be around my house for me to even like pick and choose it wrong anyway.
How about grapes? Do you
um,
eat grapes?
I do, but I don't have my own dog, so only time, if I'm around other people's dogs, I'll just be really careful with, you know, like having them in like a bowl or bag, something like that, so they
You
can't
don't
get to
have
them.
your
You
you
mentioned
don't have
basil
your own
earlier.
baby?
Now, after my dog passed away, I was too heartbroken. So if I'm ever eating in front of them, which normally I'm not. Only instances I would do it is like sometimes I do overnights at client's house. So I've especially with the clients that I normally work with, like for a long period of time. Like I've had clients that have been with me for like 11 plus years. And I'll ask them, I'll be like, hey, do you mind if I give so and so a piece of my, this, that, and the other? And they'll say, yeah, because they trust my judgment. They know I have a good sense of, what's safe and what's not. So I gave my client's dog some, it was either orange or tangerine, whatever. It was citrus. I told her she ate it. She was like, I can't believe my dog ate that.
Wow. Mine don't like citrus at
Yeah,
all.
there's Yeah. But you asked me about basil earlier. Basil is safe for dogs. Again, anything you always want to, start out slow and then look and see if they have any like maximum dosage and stuff like that. Broccoli sprouts. That because of the sulforaphane. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly in there. So like we put it in our liver detox smoothie.
Mhm,
Dogs can have that, and it's
mhm,
actually highly touted, especially the broccoli sprouts,
mhm.
for like cancer prevention.
Wow. I like the sunflower sprouts, but I have to make them because I don't know where to buy. I have to grow it because I don't know where to buy it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think that's one that I've actually seen.
It's tricky growing that. That was so tricky. I had to get my husband to help me do it.
I've looked into it a few times because I kept saying I was gonna do it, but I've never gotten around to doing it. It just seems like a bunch of work because, like, don't you have to like rinse it like every day? And
Mhm. Yeah, it's really high maintenance. You have to rinse it every day, and then you have to cover it for so many days, 3, 4 days, and then uncover it. But it tastes so good, it's so worth it. It's like it tastes like sunflower seeds.
well, yeah, just in general. I mean, to get this like little box, carton, whatever you want to call it, of these things. I mean, it's like $3 and I can use that in one setting if I'm getting like the broccoli sprouts. But when I
Yeah.
get this other brand of the alfalfa sprouts, I mean, those things are just jammed packed in there. So I can get a couple servings out of that. But I'm like thinking if for the other ones, I'm like, this is not worth it. I really need to learn how to grow my own, or also grow the patience to want to grow them because it
Me
just
too.
seems like a lot of work.
It is. It's easier to grow different other sprouts. For some reason, sunflower is, like, harder.
Hmm. Where's your other dog?
She's a Rottweiler. She's over there on the floor.
Oh, okay. See, I knew you had a bigger dog, but I don't think I remember you ever telling me it was a Rottweiler.
Mhm. They get along
Okay.
for the most part.
All right. Well, so to sum it up, she that's the dog right there that's having the broth, or are they both having it?
Bella's the only one, the small one, having the broth. Mhm.
And when she doesn't have it, and you feel like her asthma's getting worse, what does she sound like when she's doing it?
Okay, I have a recording of it. It's like she can't take she's having trouble taking a breath. She's like, it doesn't really
Yeah.
sound exactly like a human wheezing. It sounds like a
Hmm.
dog wheezing, which sounds a little bit different. Um, Kinda like that, or something, and sometimes she'll sneeze and then it goes away, and sometimes no, she'll have a bad attack and she's having trouble breathing.
Now, was she diagnosed with asthma, or you just assume that's what it is?
I'm assuming that's what it is.
Okay, because I have a question for you. When you feel like she's gasping for air, what is her body conditioning? I mean, is she like stiff? Does she look like she's jolting around? What's she doing?
Well, I kinda conditioned her to come to me when she's having an attack so I can give her the broth. So she'll come to me and she looks anxious, like, very uncomfortable. Like,
Okay, is she making like a snorting sound, or you just sound like she's gasping for air?
she's always, congested up in the nasal, so I was giving her cat's claw for the strep because I think the strep is somewhat related, isn't it?
Well, the reason why I'm asking is I just want to make sure. I mean, because there's something called a reverse sneeze. Do you know what that is?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, the first time my dog did that in front of one of my neighbors, they had me so scared because of what they said. and they like whatever they thought that he was doing at the time, like it seemed like pretty serious and dramatic or whatever, and had me all freaked out. And then I find out it's just a reverse sneeze, which by the way, I got rid of by doing stuff with him, like the CJ and HDMS. It stopped. And besides my house being not toxic and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's why I was asking what the dog did and what it sounded like, because I know what a reverse sneeze is because my dog did it. I've written about it and I've seen it happen plenty of times. But because I just had that thought come in my mind that the first time it happened and I didn't know what it was and someone called it something else, I just wanted to know if, make sure you're not confusing what's going on with your dog with something else
She
because there's
opens her
certain things that can
mouth.
kind of mimic each other. Huh?
She'll open her mouth like she's trying to bring in more air.
Go on my website. I think I wrote about it, but I think I embedded a YouTube video on there, and so you can
Okay.
visually see what it is. I know I had posted it on my Instagram at some point. It was a white pug, and so
Okay.
basically it's going.
Ah, yes, that's different. Mhm.
So that's a reverse sneeze, but he was laying down. He had his mouth closed when he was doing it. I've seen other dogs when they're standing, they're kind of doing this jerking sensation as they're doing it. So, every dog can do it a little bit differently, but yeah, it's the same thing. And so, with that condition, you can pinch their nose, not hard to hurt them. You just want to close off their nostrils to get them to open their mouth,
Okay.
and it will help stop that because
Is
they're
that
breathing through their mouth and through their
is that a
nose.
liver thing or sinus thing? What is that? The
Um,
backward sneeze.
They haven't determined the cause because actually, when it's been a while since I've written the blog, but I know, they want to check for like mites and nasal polyps and things like that when your dog starts doing that to make sure that that's not the reason that's causing your dog to do that in the first place. But like I said, for my dog, he didn't have any of that going on, and just coincidentally, as you know, my life got more and more non-toxic, in our household with the products that I was using personally myself or, around the house. And then the more I started doing, stuff with him, he just stopped doing it. I think before he passed, he did it maybe once a year. That was it. And it was very short. It was like, and then he was done.
Bella started off doing the backward sneeze, and then it was getting worse, and then it turned into asthma later. So I'm guessing it's has to do with strep. I'm just guessing.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I would be guessing as the cause. I mean, that seems like it could be a likely culprit, but could it also, be something else? I don't know. You know,
Mhm.
that's the thing that it's when I'm talking about stuff from my perspective, I'm talking about, because I didn't just start this journey with pet health, yesterday. I started it many, many years ago. And the more and more and more stuff as I read, sometimes opinions have changed. Like, again, going back to the beginning of this conversation where we're talking about onion, garlic used to be one of those things that they said no to, just like onion. Everybody's like, no, you can't have garlic because of the Allison and blah, 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 blah. And now it's widely accepted. It's in dog food. You see plenty of posts on the internet from, even vets saying, yes, it's safe to give your dog. Here's how you dose your dog, and so on and so forth. So,
Mhm. Yeah, the garlic is great for fleas and ticks. I knew about that, but then I saw you were posting about that in your when you used to have the Facebook group. So that just
mhm.
validated that I was doing it the right thing. I also
Yeah, I
clip
mean,
the
if
Oh, my husband
go
also
ahead.
trims the trees that are low, the limbs are low to the ground. He'll trim those also
Mhm.
for the ticks, and it works.
Yeah, I think so if you want to do a natural approach, some people think they can just do one thing like the garlic or get one spray, and then they're like, well, that doesn't work. Well, that's
Mhm.
because it's a layered approach, and the more layers that you do, the more it's going to help your pet. So, for example, um, like you're saying about your yard, keep a lot of leaves and brush and things like that out of the yard. Keep it cleaned up. Now, that's work that you have to do on your part, but also poop, picking up poop right away. And I don't mean once a day. Like, I was a maniac. If my dog was pooping, I was picking it up just as if we were on a walk. Like, as soon as it hit the ground, bang, it was in a bag. So, because that that draws, fleas, flies, and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I so the last probably half of his more than half of my dog's life, he was not on any flea control. Um, and I watched him like an hawk. Like I flea combed him quite often just to make sure we were on the right path. As far as our yard, I had this natural cleaning solution. I diluted it down by putting it into one of those like little buckets that you attach to a hose, like a garden sprayer. Put that in there, and I would spray down the lawn like twice at the beginning of spring, in one twice in 1 week at the beginning of spring, and then I did it once like every couple of weeks just to make sure we're like keeping the bugs away. And um, now they have things like these little collars or um, these little things that you can click to your dog collar, and
Yeah.
they're like EMF radio frequencies, scholar or something or whatever. And there's all these different sprays. So you have if you don't if you my point is, if you just think you're going to do one thing and your dog's going to be okay, the answer is more than likely your pet's going to still be attracted by fleas. For me, I think the most important things are: number one, you have to improve your dog's health, especially their immunity. And so you can do that through supplementation. You also need to do it through food. I
Mhm.
mean, supposedly fleas are really attracted to like starch and things like that. So if you're feeding kibble, and especially the junkier kinds, um, or that are heavy in carbs, your pet's naturally going to be more attractive to them. So for me, I would start with immunity, food, yard. If you're going on a walk, you can't control that. That's when you want to do something like either a natural flea spray. If you don't want to spray your whole dog, you can do something like spray it on a bandana, put that around their neck while they're on the walk, and then you can take it off when you get
Oh.
home. Put one of those tickless collars or scholar collar or tags onto your dog's collar and do that too.
You mentioned EMF, and I'm glad you did because my Bella used to have really bad anxiety, like it kind of presented as PTSD um
Hmm.
by her behavior of how like she would have panic attacks. And I have organites all over my house for the EMF because the EMF, I mean, it'll keep you anxious. It affects the nerves. It can even make
Yeah.
your nerves hurt. It can cause nerve pain. So some organites are bad quality and they don't work. So you have to get the right kind.
Yeah. All right, Monica, I need to get going, but thank you so much for joining me on this live, and I'm glad we figured it out. It took
This
a little
was
trial and error,
fun.
but
This was fun. I wanted to
okay, thank
I wanted
you.
to tell you one more thing.
Hmm.
About about angels, I call out to the angels if that's okay for me to say.
Sure.
Okay, I call out to the unknown angels sometimes when I feel like I'm not getting her asthma under control quickly enough,
Hmm.
and that really helps. I also imagine I touch her chest where her lungs are, and I imagine light
Hmm.
going into her lungs, and that really worked. Both things really worked.
Oh, that's great.
Mhm.
I think the more, things that you can do to help your pet, especially when it's natural, all the better. If, whether I have a difference of opinion of it, which I don't, but if I did, then, for anybody listening, if that's not for you, then just don't do it. I can tell you that just in general, I think energy is a big thing. And, especially if you've ever worked with a dog trainer before, they'll tell you your energy goes down the leash. All right, I need to run.
Okay.
But thank you so much for
This
joining me
was
today. I'll
fun.
talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you for having me.
Okay, bye.
Bye.